I've had a couple of encounters where I'm pretty sure that I was dealing with something else that kind of portrayed itself to be a human.
Now, does that just come like in? What am I trying to? I was gonna say, does that happen in just the UAPs that you see, like the UFOs, or do you have like cryptid encounters too?
I've had a couple of cryptid encounters, I guess you'd call them that. Anyway, there was one instance where this lady was jogging while I was outside, working with my telescope, and she came. A lot of people jog by there, walk by there, or whatever, because it's right by the high school. And I was out there one night getting some shots of the moon, and this girl came jogging towards me down the hill. It looked exactly like my daughter, my oldest daughter, and
Wow.
that was kind of creepy. And as she got closer, I'm looking at her. I know it's not her, obviously, but she lives 45 minutes away in a town called Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And so the closer she's getting to me, the more she looks like her, except she had shorter hair, I think. It was about the only real difference, and it was tripping me out, man, the closer she got. And she did 3 passes as she jogged by that night. And I'm trying not to stare at her or anything. It's hard not to under the circumstances, but when I'm outside with my camera, like especially when it's nighttime or getting towards nighttime, I'm try not to look incriminating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Best case scenario, you're dealing with you're being seen as a creep. In worst case, it's a doppelganger.
And little did I know the creep I was dealing with. Creepy. But anyway, she made 3 passes, and the very final pass, she would jog for a minute, and then about every 20 yards or so, she would stop, and no matter which direction she was facing, whether she was jogging up towards me or past me already, about every 20 yards, she would stop and almost robotically turn right towards me and stare at me for about 10, 15 seconds. And then she'd turn around and go back to jogging. And so about every 20 yards, pretty often, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was trying to take pictures of her. What the deal was? It was creeping me out at this point. And I moved up to my porch. I was out kind of by the curb, and I moved up to the porch to lessen any kind of incident that may have occurred.
Yeah.
As far as that went, and she did that every 20 yards all the way back up the hill. My house sat at the bottom of 2 pretty steep hills, and so she came down it, and then on her way back up, stopping every 20 yards, she'd turn around and look at me, and I didn't know what to think of it. She got to the very top of the hill, about to go over it out of sight. She turned one last time towards me, and when she did, her eyes were glowing bright yellow, like she had a lamp inside of her skull, projected out towards me. And she stared at me a good another 10, 15 seconds with those glowing eyes, and then disappeared over the hill, and I never saw her.
That's a long time to look at somebody.
Yeah.
And just like everybody think about 10 seconds, 10 Mississippi. That's especially with glowing eyes. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like a warning, almost like.
Right.
We know who your daughter is. We know your family.
I mean, all kinds of things went through my head. I don't know if any of them were correct, but there's so many things I thought of at the time. Of course, one of the first things I did was get in contact with my daughter, and it was funny because the very day before, we were talking on the phone, and she had mentioned how she wanted to start jogging like a mile every day.
No shit.